Hello, and welcome to Schelling with the Door, rated #1 nationally in podcasts with most technical difficulties before recording. Because Lord knows we can't get it together.
On God.
I don't know what the issue is. But I'm Willem. That's Christopher. And our special guest here, I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey everybody, Wesley Schelling, long snapper on the football team, local guy from right here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Absolutely.
Went to high school at MLK, played football at Pearl Cone,
Tennessee Pride.
and a computer engineering major. So happy to be on the pod.
That is all the pertinent information, I think. That's solid.
Pretty excited
Good
to have
breakdown.
you.
That was so much better.
Yeah, we should have asked for your resume.
That was really good.
I'll give it to you.
that was probably the best intro that we've had from anybody. A lot of people are just like,
Some people are like, hey, I'm whoever.
I'm like,
And I'm like,
well.
Keeping going, yes.
How's your day been? How's your day been, Wesley?
It's been a great day. You know, got out of class, just trying to get ready for finals, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So.
He's been chilling with us for about an hour because we've had some problems. So we already got to know Wesley a little bit. But what we generally do with all our guests is we kind of start from like early life moving forward, and we talk about stuff like Vandy and all that.
Oh, yeah.
So like, when did you like get into football?
I mean, I played like flag football, kind of like 3rd, 4th grade. So like I was into football, watched football all the time. But I played baseball, basketball, soccer, kind of everything as a kid. But ended up I at first probably thought I was going to play baseball in college.
Really?
Because I was travel baseball all the time, kind of through middle school. My first time I played contact football was 7th grade. Was an O lineman. I snapped in middle school, but you got 1 or 2. I mean, you don't punt in middle school.
Right.
Like I think we punted twice in 2 years, and then I go into high school. Was played at Pearl Cone. Originally thought maybe I'll just play freshman year, and we'll see where it goes from there. And then I'd seen the long snapper they had. I was like, oh man, I can do this. Like, let me see if I can give it a shot. Like, I want to play on varsity, and I did it. Did pretty good. My dad's cousin actually snapped in high school, so I had somebody that generally knew what was going on. And played my first year. Actually, my very first high school game was at Vanderbilt Stadium, or now First
Really?
Bank Stadium. So it was against Hillsborough, and it was a fun game. I think we ended up winning 9-7.
Interesting.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so.
Is that like a missed extra point?
No, there was a safety, 2
Oh,
touchdowns by
okay.
each team and a safety. And so it was fun, and played my first year. We went pretty far in the playoffs, and then after that went to some camps, and then kind of went through high school after that. So
That's pretty exciting, man. Did you play high school baseball as well?
I did. I played my first 2 years, and after that, when going into junior year, I kind of knew, hey, I'm probably gonna go after the college route, long snapping, and just went after that, and kind of was like, I'm done with baseball. I need to focus on football. So
What was the decision-making process like? Like, what led you to say, long snapping is my thing. This is what I'm going to commit to.
yeah, I mean, kind of just like going to camps. I kind of recognized that like I was pretty good compared to everybody else. I wasn't like light years ahead of everybody, but I was like, this is something I can work on, at least to the point to where I can compete. And so honestly, just confidence in myself. I knew as a long snapper, you have to be athletic, but it's more of a mental thing than anything, and it's muscle memory. It's very much, you got to be a detailed person, and I felt like I was detailed enough to do it, so that's what I did. So.
It's the old, I'm better than all of these people. I can go to college for this. That's it. That's what I like.
It's confidence.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
What position did you play in baseball?
Baseball, I played first base most of the time, third base a little bit, and then I was a pitcher too, and then designated hitter.
There you go.
I could hit
There you
pretty
go.
well
I
in
bet
high
you
school.
raked. There we go.
Yeah,
That is what I like to hear.
yeah.
So I know snapping, like long snapping, is not like a flashy type of position or anything like that.
It's not.
How is college scouting for like a long snapper?
It's it's interesting. It's a lot of going to camps. So you have like exposure camps that you go to, and those are kind of run by snapper people. They played snapper, they know what they're doing. The kicker and punter's there too, so everybody's a specialist. And they kind of rate you and stuff, and then they kind of tell college coaches, but basically college coaches get their kind of short list of guys they want, and they invite you to camps. And basically I went to camps sophomore and junior year in the summer, but it matters going into your senior year in terms of scholarships and stuff. And Vandy was like, hey, you're one of my guys I'm looking at. We're going to have these 2 other dudes there, compete against them. And, we're going to pick somebody to give a scholarship to. And luckily went to it, performed pretty well, and got a call a couple of days later. Hey, we're going to offer you a scholarship. You coming? I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Was it a close decision between like Vandy and other places, or was it like Vandy is where I want to go?
Well, I had a scholarship offer-wise, Air Force and Vanderbilt. There were other schools that kind of pursued, a couple Pac-12 schools that were interested, and then a couple SEC, but certain ones were thinking about, there are schools out there that do not scholarship long snappers. They're just walk-ons.
Oh,
yeah. And there's other schools that kind of consistently scholarship long snappers. And so, some of those schools came after me. I visited Harvard. That was a cool visit. Visited, where else? Louisville, didn't visit any of really the Pac-12 schools, but the coaches came to watch me.
Yeah.
And it was the recruiting process is very fun. You get to go on these trips, and I went to the Clemson spring game, which was really cool. And so it was just, fun and just but it is different because, certain schools want scholarship guys and certain ones are like, hey, we just want to walk on and come in here and do it. So, yeah.
This is a stupid question, but if you play football at Air Force, do you have to serve in the military?
Yeah. There's the way they had kind of explained it to me was if you make it to the NFL, they can kind of adjust it a little bit to where you can do serving time at another point or delay it. But yeah, you still serve, I think. And obviously I don't know all the details, but there are guys I'm pretty sure they're on that team. They're doing something, I guess in the United States and not necessarily have
to go.
Insane.
They're I got the game on Saturday, and Sunday I gotta go.
I got PT at 6 a.m.
Yeah,
so 1 second you're playing quarterback, and then you're in Iraq, and you're like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah. And you were like, should I decide on military service or Vanderbilt?
Yeah, Air Force offers nice. There's a lot of guarantees. A lot of guarantees with it, but Vanderbilt grew up a Vandy fan.
There you
go. Nobody else could have took me away from that. Yeah. So I was like, I'm coming. I made a decision before I got the call.
That's exciting.
I was like, I'm going to go.
Were you going to walk on even if you didn't get a scholarship to Vandy?
There would have been a lot of other things to have changed between there and then, but I feel like somebody else probably would have offered if that scenario would have happened, but no, luckily it didn't. So,
so real quick, going back to you compete against the guys at this camp, right?
Yeah.
What are differentiating factors for a long snapper at a camp? What made you stand out, do you think?
Just overall, the short answer, and you'll hear this from any long snapper, is consistency.
Okay.
But that entails accuracy of the snap. The biggest thing I'll tell high school guys this, because they'll come to camps in the summer and ask me, hey, what do you think about me? What do you think about my snapping? And I tell them, when you go to these camps, and I've gone to other campsites from Vanderbilt, and they grade you on your worst snap. It doesn't matter. You can have there are a lot of guys that have very good snaps. It's all about how good is your worst snap. Yeah. If your worst snap is right above the knee on the right leg every single time, you're probably going to be making a lot of money in the NFL.
Yeah.
But if your worst snap is not, it is bringing the punter off his spot all the time, and that is a big factor in terms of accuracy. Then there's different schemes. I do a little bit of both. I block and cover. So just that's more of a school by school decision. There are schools that would want guys that I mean, there are dudes that I am still in touch with today that are in college. They're like, hey, that guy fits in well there, but he probably wouldn't have fit well in another system. So kind of not as complex as like an offensive system, but you have your blocking and covering. Then there's just athleticism and size. Some of that is, God's gift to you, which, I have nice genetics enough to be 6'5", which I'll take.
Right,
There we go.
But yeah, I mean, that's some of it's uncontrollable in that regard.
Does having like longer arms and stuff make snapping like a lot easier?
Yeah, I'll definitely say the long arms helps me in terms of like, because there'll be times when I'm blocking, and any long snapper out there knows like blocking's a mix of you got to be able to finish your snap quickly with a nice follow through. And at the same time, you have to be quick enough to get up and block the big dude that's rushing you.
Yeah.
So it helps because I can, kind of follow through and get through well enough to then pop up quicker. So it helps out for sure.
Yeah. That's really cool. Like I've never really thought about, I haven't thought about it, but like I have no idea about like the mechanics of like long snapping and like the nuances that really go in there.
Yeah, it's a throwing position is what I like to call it. It's you're upside down.
Like, do you like really like snap your arm, or is it like a?
It's a lot like, I'd say 65, 70%. So I'm right-handed. So dominant hand. Think about like throwing a football.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of have that grip, and basically that's like 70% of it. And you bring in your non-dominant hand, and there's different grips. Mine's split seam, so the seam goes right in between my two fingers, and there are other guys that do, seam here, seam there. I've seen some guys do seam here. And, but yeah, and then about 30% with this left hand. It's more of like a guide hand. It's like shooting a basketball.
Like, that's what I was about to
It's
say.
like,
That's
the
really
guide
cool.
hand.
Yeah.
I had no
So
idea.
that's
really cool.
Yeah, it's,
I don't know if I could do it. You know what I mean? Like if you just gave me football right now, I'd be like, okay, and just toss it. Because one thing I love, when I go to the football games, I always sit right in the same spot behind like the opposing team's guys. And like, I notice they'll mess around a lot. So like the long snapper will be warming up right in front of me most of the time.
yeah.
And other guys will come over and like try to do it. And they're terrible every time.
Yeah,
I'm like, dang, dude, you guys are bad. I feel like I would just be so like horrible at this thing. Does it take like a long time? Like I imagine you just snap like, like a center first and then you learn how to do this.
Yeah. So I'd played center in middle school, and so that helps in terms of just like the mechanic of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it does take a while, and I don't know. I have my own trainer for this, and so like you kind of hire people to do that. But man, it's like, and I try to teach younger guys too. And I've been told, oh, my son wants to, a friend of the family, oh, my son wants a long snap. Try to teach him, and like I'll get over there and I'll be like, man, like you kind of forget like
your
how
kid's terrible.
well, yeah, you're like, man, like that. It takes a lot of work,
Right.
and some people I've been, even guys, like you said, there'll be regular players try to snap, and some of them naturally are gifted with it because we have some guys that are tight ends that did snap in high school, so they know how to do it. But man, it's crazy when you're around these younger kids, like you're like, man, like some of them naturally might have it and some of them might not, but it takes a while because you got to build up strength and just the whole fluid mechanics of everything, and it's crazy.
I feel like the average viewer thinks it's a very like simple process of just like, throwing the ball behind you.
Yeah.
But like, I think that if I tried to long snap to like a punter, I don't know if I'd make it past the gunner.
Yeah, I don't
like. It would be
like,
bad.
That's in my mind. Like
oh no, I meant the
position.
personal protector. That's my bad.
There you go.
But like,
It's more like a skill position to me because if you compare it to like either quarterback or wide receiver, it's closer to a quarterback in the way that it's all mechanics.
Yeah.
Rather than like if you're a wide receiver, you can just go out there and catch the ball. Like route running is more like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's like intricate within all the little motions and everything.
Yeah, it's detailed.
It takes skill.
Yeah, that's just specialist kickers and punters
Yes.
too. They're detailed guys, and it's all like the guys that do it very well are ridiculously detailed, and they just like, it's amazing when you see some of those pro guys do it. You're like, wow, there's another level.
Yeah. Do you prefer snapping to punts or to field goal?
Man, it depends on the situation of the game, honestly. Like,
Okay.
I'd say generally, like in a practice, I like punts.
Yeah.
But if it's a game-winning field goal,
Oh,
yeah,
Well,
I'm
I mean,
out
like,
there. I'm
if you're
out there. I
putting
love
up
that.
points, that's nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Punting away the ball typically isn't great in game.
Sure.
Yeah,
But
that's
mechanically punting.
yeah.
sounds
Mechanically, it's fun, and like, you know, I like the coverage part too. You know, you get a block a guy, and then
I think
you know, or you get a cover downfield and try and make a tackle, and so that's fun too. It kind of like, it's the whole football experience.
Doesn't
Plus
that
the
kind
long
of hypes you up a
snapping.
little bit? Like if you get to make a tackle?
get a nice
Yeah,
tackle.
yeah. Get a nice tackle. I had one last year against Colorado State, and then I had one against Ole Miss this year, but it got negated because
no
of
way.
a penalty. It was they roughed Matt Hayball back there, and I turned around. And I
Both of you,
remember,
but, like at the same time.
Yeah.
like-
You're like,
yeah,
tackle and
it was a solo tackle, and I was
Like, was
like,
it like a big one? Like it was like the ooh from like the crowd type
well,
stuff?
no, it wasn't like that, but I mean, I grabbed his leg and he went down. It was Mingo for
He's
for Ole
Yeah.
Miss.
he's
So
going to be a first couple rounds.
yeah,
pick.
He's
he's
solid.
really good. He's really good. And
you took him down. All you.
That was you.
there's some
Solo.
other guys there to help me,
For
but
sure.
No.
You got the tackle.
I technically got credit for it.
You-
So.
Have you ever like throughout, you know, your coverage history, like really like laid somebody out?
Not really, just because there's never really, I mean, I'd say a good portion of like a long snapper getting a tackle is situational.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, if the returner wants to, they can catch it and just run away from you.
Yeah.
And that's typically, if they see you running down the middle of the field, a returner typically isn't trying to run anybody over. They're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
And so they'll just run around you. And so you never really get a kill shot on anybody. But, you know, there have been some times where it's like, man, if you didn't fair catch that, man, you might have been dead meat.
Like, you go.
I didn't know if it was, you know, because you have like other jobs. I didn't know if it was similar to like when a punter gets a tackle, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's either like a really sad, like edgy out of bounds tackle, or it's like that Penn State guy from like a few years ago where you just like
absolutely blasting someone.
And so I didn't know if maybe you had any of those type moments.
I maybe I had a couple in high school, but it was like on
Yeah.
the defensive side. I had a couple snaps on defense and had maybe a couple good tackles, but
I feel like that'd be
yeah.
so fun, man.
it's fun. It is. It is.
So getting into like field goal snapping real quick.
hmm
So is that like, would you say harder than punt snapping?
It depends on kind of the level. So in high school, it was easier. I mean, I had a good kicker in high school, and I have great kickers here. I mean, but I had a good high school kicker, which at the high school level is hard to find sometimes. And you know, you kind of just got it back there. It's typically like a QB, just hold it, kick the extra point. And, you know, maybe you attempted some field goals, but
Not that
you know, yeah, and it was, 7 yards instead of 8, which you're like 1 yard. 1 yard's not that big of a deal. But then when you look in between your legs and you're upside down, it looks a little further. Yeah,
I
and
didn't
so
realize it was 7 to 8 yards.
yeah, and
in
I
high
mean,
school and college.
there's some universities that do like 7.5. Just depends on what they want. But we're at 8 yards, and then kind of just the whole process in college. And there's a great video is by Luke Rhodes, the Colts snapper now, where he talks about, it's called perfect laces. So everybody sees the holder. Okay, a holder catches it, puts it down. Like, it's their job to spin laces.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, it's actually kind of up to the snapper.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So I grip the ball a certain way. I make sure I'm at an exact 8-yard distance to where the holder, and again, the holders, I mean, everybody looks at holder, oh, just hold the ball, but they have to catch it in the same spot for this to even happen.
Right.
And so to have, them catch the ball at the exact same spot, release it, then, you're putting it, 12 o'clock is perfect. You have like 3 o'clock. If you give them, honestly, anywhere between 3 o'clock and like 10 or 9 o'clock, they can handle it easy. But yeah, I mean, that's what's probably the most detailed part about short snapping nowadays.
Yeah, I feel like that must be like I can't imagine that that's easy to do consistently.
No, dude.
It's
Has there been a time
hard.
that like you really fucked it up?
I mean, you like.
Excuse my language, Mom. She watches the pod.
She don't say nothing like that.
She
Yeah. You mess up, like, I mean, even guys at the next level,
Well, yeah,
they mess up, like, so, I mean, this happens to me too, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, his backwards laces and the kicker saw it, but luckily my holder is Matthew Hayball and he's good enough to turn it around. So
you ever like have him up, you're like, thank you, man, I
yeah,
appreciate that one.
he saved me. But yeah, it happens. Nobody's perfect. I mean, even the guys that do this the NFL guys, 80 to 90% is like the best. Like they're good. Like those are the best guys. And so if you're doing it around there, you're pretty good at what you do. So
of course,
it's detailed.
And for all the NFL scouts watching, show him the door. I mean, he's probably like 98 at this point. You know, like
I haven't been counting, but
I have. I've charted every single snap.
Chris out there on the sideline with binoculars.
Yeah,
Perfect.
they've all been perfect. I'm the scouting.
He actually put himself in the horseshoe right in front of the kick, just so maybe he could get drilled by the kick.
You know, that's how it is sometimes.
It's difficult, man.
I actually I
Security
stole
has to
the
keep him off
umpire's
the field.
clothes so that I'm him. That's why you've never gotten a flag. I'm just sitting there like, oh,
Chris is actually Matthew Hayball. He's the one that gets it, so he knows better than anybody.
Absolutely.
And they've all been perfect.
Every single.
Have you heard his Australian accent?
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Is Hayball Australian?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
That's
funny. I gotta DM him.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I get to listen to that voice every day.
Lord, it's like that's not something that's ever occurred to me ever. That like people have accents on the team.
That makes.
Who else has accents?
Darren Agu, because he's from England, I believe.
Really?
But I think he lived here like 2 years. He lived down in Georgia, I think, for a bit. And then we have German guys too. Their accents aren't as bad though.
Is Schoenwald German?
No, it's Linus Zonk and Issa. Are both German, and I think Issa lived in France for a little bit, but yeah, those guys, not as bad of accents, like you can definitely understand them more, but pretty funny to listen to.
They both sound like pretty like, I won't say stereotypically like Australian accent.
Oh yeah,
it's like strong.
Oh yeah, it's a lot. He said it was worse when he had gotten here, but he's, you can understand him obviously, but it's just funny. He'll say some things and you're just like, oh boy, that's hilarious. Here recently, he's been repping Australia in the World Cup. So
how they
apparently they got out of group stage.
Really?
Oh, good for Australia.
And I think if they win and the U.S. wins, they meet each other in the quarterfinals, maybe. So
wow, Australia's not typically good at soccer. I don't think.
I don't know anything.
So
yeah, but like Australia.
So
I think kangaroos would be really good at soccer. Maybe. They'd be nuts.
What's your favorite moment from like college, like of the snapping?
I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer for me. Against Florida, I guess now. Almost 2 weeks ago.
Sorry. We'll talk about that. Let's talk about that moment, and then
you want me to continue?
You had a lot of good times,
continue. I'm sorry.
Unless you want the second.
No. Well, we'll talk about that one first.
Okay. Well, yeah. So against Florida, it was we had a punt in the second quarter. Matt punts it down there, and then Florida return muffs it, goes into the end zone. I originally thought G was on it, and then was able to stick my nose in there and get a touchdown. So that's definitely a top moment.
Yeah, I would say.
I can imagine.
I can imagine that might be your top moment.
Yeah.
And because like after that week, you won like SEC Special Teams Player of the Week.
Co-special teams Player of the Week. It was me and
you got a co for doing.
I'll take it. It's my
SEC. What are you doing?
They gave it to Jack Podlesny as well. He's I've actually trained with him.
No,
he's a Georgia kicker. Yeah, he's a great dude. I've trained with him.
He can have it next week.
Wait, did he score a touchdown?
I don't think he did.
No,
I don't think so. SEC.
How many people did you say have scored one since 2003?
5. So
Oh,
yeah, but
Interesting.
all those NFL scouts.
Do you know how many people have made
Have
field
you-
goals
have
since
you-
2003?
Have you wanted to score?
yeah, but
You want a long snapper that can score touchdowns?
Do I have the guy for you?
I know. I know Jack pretty well, and I know they played Kentucky that week, and I think he went 3 for 3. And I mean, there's some bad elements up there to say the least. So
Yeah.
I will gladly
And
share
yeah.
with
Oh,
him.
yeah.
He's a great
And
friend.
like I know you're a very humble guy, and he's a great kicker as well. We at Show 'em the Door do believe that it shouldn't have been a but
petition.
we can say that as media professionals.
Media personalities, yeah. If we were voters.
If we were in the AP poll,
What's it like? Like, what does it feel like after you do this? Everyone's going crazy. What's the feeling?
Yeah, so I mean, kind of just backing up to the play too. I mean, I thought Gamarian Carter, and I talked to you about this, but I thought he was on the ball, like those still, because he's gunner, first guy down there, and I see the Florida guy kind of hit his arm, and the ball went loose in between his legs. I kind of snuck around the edge there and just kind of went in at the right angle, reached around his leg, grabbed the ball, held on for dear life, and then the ref comes up, taps my helmet. You got it, Vandy touchdown. And you can see it on the broadcast, but you see Ethan Barr, Cole Spence, and Hayball all going, touchdown, we just scored. And then it took me about 10 seconds to process. I was like, oh my, I just scored a touchdown.
did you get the ball?
I did not.
Who
But
has it? Where's that?
I don't know who has it. But
SEC, God.
Wait, like it was a Vandy ball though, wasn't it?
yeah, it was. I don't
Oh
know
no,
where it
I wouldn't
went.
have given that one up.
I mean, I had to give it to the refs. So
No, I would have been
I
like,
was stuck
sorry,
in that
man.
regard. But
Tugging your
Wait,
shirt real quick.
didn't you have to like snap immediately after that though?
yeah, I got up, and there's household rule. If your last name is Schelling, and my dad's taught me this ever since I was little, you recover a fumble, you get up and you show everybody the ball.
Yeah, of
And
course.
so that's why I went up. I showed everybody, and I just get jumped by my teammates, and they're just going
Oh,
crazy. And I hand it to the ref, and I think I did something like this. As I was going over to snap the extra point, but I was like trying to pump up the guys, and then
That's a big
I
deal.
was like, okay, I got to snap the extra point, and my heart
Wait, was it
racing.
the same ball though? Like that? you
Yes,
picked
it
up?
was the same ball.
Nah, I would have. I would have been like, "Yo, take this one aside. Give me another one.
Yeah.
This one's mine."
Yeah, so that
Keep this
was
in the microphone.
went
Would
and
you have
snapped
wanted
it. I mean, it's a ball at the end of the day, so I'm not really torn.
There you go.
I got the memories, I got the video, and I got everything else from it, so I'll
Sure.
take it.
But I
But
mean, for the rest of forever.
yeah,
you scored a
forever.
touchdown, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I'll never forget that
It's in the
for as long as I
record
live.
books.
So
That's
that
all that counts.
great moment. It was pretty funny because I guess Matt he punted it, so he was down there, but he doesn't. As you could see on the broadcast, like 8 Vanderbilt bodies just there, and he saw and he knew he scored a touchdown. He comes up to me before the extra point. And he goes, "Hey man, there is no way you just recovered. Did you just recover that fumble and score a touchdown?" I was like, "Yeah, you betcha I did." Like, yeah. And he's like, "Oh, that's hype, man."
He's like,
and then I responded to him like, "Get back there and hold. I'm trying to catch my breath here. Man. Like, my heart's racing."
oh yeah, because he probably ran just like what?
I ran 60 yards down the
You're
field,
like-
and I mean, my heart's racing. I'd never scored a touchdown in my football career, and I was like,
hyperventilating.
and then I think,
I did.
yeah, the refs always hold me up because most of the time, there's like reviews and stuff, but they're like, oh, they're reviewing it. Wait a second, and I was
You're
like, I'm like, all good.
For sure, man. Take your
Let me
time.
catch my
man.
breath.
Look at it one more time.
Let me take my heart rate
Show us
down.
the
to-
jumbotron a few more.
Yeah, I didn't even look at the jumbotron the whole entire time. And then after I snapped it, up and good, and then we jogged to the sideline, and everybody just jumps me and like.
What if taking a detour on the ball?
Yeah.
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 So funny.
But that was great. It was fun. My teammates loved it. It was great, and honestly, it's not all me because the coaches put me in the best position.
Of course.
We called the correct kind of punt scheme that we wanted to attack at that particular time in the game, and Coach Lustig called it, and I was like, this is probably going to end up going our way, and he ends up muffing it, and we capitalize on their mistakes. So I'll take it.
There we go.
So when I asked the question, like we had talked about this, and I knew that was part of your college career.
Yeah.
But like in my brain, it was such like a separate like amazing event that like I didn't add. But like other than that obvious moment, what was what is your favorite
What are
moment
some things?
in college? Yeah.
Man, I mean, after that, kind of like I can't rank them, but I definitely have some. You know, in 2021, 2-game winners. I mean, those were just like that's what you live for as a specialist. Like
It was UConn and Colorado State.
yeah, Colorado State. We were tied, and 19 seconds left. Got there, and Joe puts it through, and then you know, Big Leg Joe lives on again and hits it against UConn, and you know that one was we were down one, and the offense had a great drive down the field, and you know we get down there, and I mean, it was great. You know, Coach Lee trusts us, and you know trusts his guys to go out there and make plays, and you know he's like, hey, we're going to center this for Joe, run it down to 3, call a timeout, and you guys are going out there. The funny part about that one was that game was kind of off and on with rain,
it was
different elements. It had rained all day, so the ground's wet, which you don't necessarily like, but then it rained off and on during the game. So my hands are, you know, imagine like when you get out of a bath or something, your fingers are pruned and stuff. Yeah. And so like I'm like
with grip at all, or like
I mean sometimes, but like it's like wet, like you know, like kind of like wet on wet or dry on dry. Yeah. Like you know, when the ball's dry but your hands are pruned, you're like, that's not helpful. But then like when they're both kind of wet in that sense, you know, it's great for gripping wise. And so, you know,
I didn't think I knew that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected that.
The funny part,
you're like putting water on the ball. You're like, all right, that's gonna be good.
Yeah. Yeah. But then the you know, UConn triple ices us 3 timeouts in a row.
Jeez, yeah, that was insane.
And you know, obviously ice, the whole point is that, you know, and they ice the kicker, but I mean, essentially you're icing everybody else too. And you know, we're just sitting there 3 timeouts. You know, I can't snap a ball, but I call them ghost snaps, kind of just like run through my motion upside down. And you know, I was, you know, they called that right when they called the 3rd timeout, the rain starts pouring.
Oh,
and I'm like, I walked out there. I was like, hey, wet ball drill. I've done this a million times. Let's go. And you know, got out there, snapped a good one, and Harrison Smith was our holder last year and punter, and got it, put it down. Joe put it through. It's Big Leg Joe for you. So
we were at that game. That was crazy.
Yeah.
It was parents' weekend.
Yeah. Right before they kicked it, y'all kicked it. We tweeted they never expect us to fake it here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true from the Shomador account. They never expect a fake there.
Wet ball drill. You just like get the ball wet, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll really just be kind of throughout the week. Obviously, if it's I'll do in the off season, but kind of going into a game, I'll know Tuesday kind of how the weather's going to be, and I'm like, well, if it's raining, hey, let's do some wet ball drill. I essentially just take a Gatorade bottle, and you know, spray the ground, put the ball down, do a couple snaps there, and I'll spray the ball. Do some snaps there. I mean, it's literally like you just pour a pitcher of water, essentially. And it's just a waterlogged wet ball that you got to deal with. And you know, I try to definitely mix it up, kind of like a little bit of spraying on it, you know, kind of make it seem like rain or not. And you know, it's a fun drill though, I will say. It's because it's just different.
Yeah.
So it's not typical. You got to be smooth, relaxed with your motions. So
yeah. When I said, when we were talking about fakes a second ago, so you guys faked a punt against that Tennessee game, and then it worked.
Hey, bowl.
And then he got kind of rocked. How is he feeling after that?
I mean, he's played Aussie rules football in Australia, which is like basically football without pads. So he's used to getting hit.
It just looked like he awkwardly was trying to switch arms at like the wrong time or something like that.
No, I just think the Tennessee guy, helmet on ball, good play. It was a good play by Tennessee, and you know, hey, those things
the fake worked though.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, we got some good things always drawn up and over there in Magoogan. So.
Obviously, you can't talk about like the drawn up stuff. But like, have you ever pitched a certain like, we should fake here? Like, do you get like any input in that?
I don't really, honestly, like, I'm not thinking about it, so I'm not
Mhm.
going to, like, bring it up. I honestly, like, sometimes that's strictly a coaching decision, in my opinion. Like, they're going to decide, but, you know, we will say at, like, maybe halftime, especially Matt, because he's back there and he kind of sees if they're rushing, kind of what they're doing. And, you know, if we feel like we have a good call on something, he'll tell them at half, like, hey, you know, I feel good about this. Essentially like a QB talking to an offensive coordinator. Like, I feel good about this. Let's try to run this. Or he'll tell them, you know, pregame too. Or, you know, and then sometimes, I mean, and rightfully so, you don't want to run a fake all the time.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, you're going to hold some stuff back too. And that's, you know, we always have. I mean, Coach Lustig's great. Coach Lepak's the quality control guy for special teams. And they draw up great things, great schemes. And that's why they're both the best guys in the nation at what they do.
I just like some fakes I know that you would snap to, like, you know, a different guy.
Oh yeah,
And
like
I didn't know if, like,
I haven't done anything like that. I did in high school. We had a fake where you'd snap it to, because we didn't have a 3-man shield. We had like one guy back there or something. And so we had one where we put our running back in there. I just snapped to him and he'd take off. And I was like, that's not, you know, it's a fake, but, you know, that's our best guy back there. So,
you're like, well, he's going D1.
Running back in now.
Yeah, so
we put Ray Davis back there.
that was we had run that one time and it worked. But yeah, I really don't have a lot of exotic snaps. A lot of them are, if it is a fake, it's something.
Yeah, you're probably doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm either trying to sell out on something or try to do something differently. But yeah, I mean, typically all the same for me, which is nice about fakes. So.
Yeah. Do you ever get like a little, like, you get hype about it though?
You can't get too hype about it because when you're out there, you get hype post. So we ran one against Missouri, and that one worked, and we got a conversion. Matt got out of bounds, and after that, I mean, I think I had to block somebody, and then I saw him take off. I was like, that's the first down. Like, he's got that. And
he's fast.
Yeah, he can move. And I ran over to him, just hugged him, and it was super hyped. And obviously you get back to the sideline. It's just fun because you know it going out there, and you know, they don't expect it, but you know what's going on, and it's like okay, you're about to get this, and you don't even know it's coming.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that'd be fun.
Think about it, like,
yeah. No, I have the worst poker face. I'd be out there and just be like, it would be so bad. They would know every time if it was me. I'd have to like wear I'd have to wear like the really dark visors.
Just it was Marshawn Lynch or something.
Yeah.
Just
like, why is he doing that? And they're like, he gave away every one of the play calls.
That's funny. So the past 3 years now, it's been a lot of growth throughout the program. Where like 0 wins, 2 wins, 5 wins. It's just continuing. What's it been like to go from, you know, didn't win an SEC game to now like you're darn close to a bowl game? What's it like?
It's a great feeling. I mean, you start off my freshman year, obviously 0-9, but you know, you play that, you know, then, you know, Coach Mason was great. I loved him. He, you know, gave me a scholarship to long snap of football, but you know, loved him. And then, you know, you move on, and Coach Lee is a great hire. Loved the man to death, and you know, he kind of everybody, and nowadays people want, you know, I want now, I want it now, and he was like, look, guys, this, you know, we're building, and you might not see, it's not, he always tells us it's not about, you know, it's about the process. It's not about, you might not see, you know, if you go out there and you play at your best, and, you know, you can live with the result. Like, and I think that's said by a lot of people, but he actually means it, and he, you know, has built that. And, you know, obviously, you know, 2 wins in 2021 and 5 wins. I mean, and we beat Kentucky, beat Florida back-to-back weeks, and I mean, we were feeling great, and you're like, man, you know, this is something, you know, that, you know, we can build off of, and, you know, you just keep having that foundation. You have, you know, and I can't express more the coaches and the players being on the same page is one of the biggest things to having a just successful week, a successful day, successful season. And so it's been a fun process. You know, you love it no matter kind of really what the results. It's college football, but you know, having that was great. I mean, it's great. Next season we're looking to do more, and that's going to be great.
Job ain't finished.
Yeah, job ain't finished.
At this
back
point,
to work.
like it's a little early in like season's just now ending for y'all, and other teams are still playing and stuff. But is it like at this point like celebrate? This is a phenomenal season, or is it like already like okay, let's think forward a little next season? What's it like?
Yeah, I mean, you reflect on the season, kind of like the good and bad of it, and you see where you could have gotten better. And I just think everybody's like, hey man, we gotta focus on getting these lifts out of the way. Then we got spring ball. Then we got keep getting bigger and stronger. And you're focusing on 2023. It's a year-round sport. I tell people that all the time. It's not just football. It's everybody in athletics. Soccer, you got basketball, baseball, lacrosse, swimming, all of them, they're there 24/7, and you're just keep going. It's on to the next thing. That's the great thing about college athletics too, on to the next. There's always a next.
Yeah.
And so, looking forward to it.
If you could play with like any NFL kicker or punter like duo, who would it be?
Wow. Duo.
Like you can pick from different teams. So, it's not
okay, are they on the same team? Justin Tucker would be a great kicker to be around. I've worked with Morgan Cox, who's the Tennessee Titans snapper before, and he
one snapper name I know.
He's really good at what he does. Obviously,
he's a Pro Bowl long snapper.
Four times, I believe.
Yeah.
There we go.
He's talked about Justin Tucker, just how great he is to work with. And so I'd pick probably him. And, man, punters, Brett Kern, he's not with the Titans anymore, but he was
great.
Yeah, he was great. I played against Stonehouse last season.
Yeah.
So he's a great guy, too.
Stonehouse has a leg on
Where did he go to college?
Colorado State.
Really?
Yeah.
I love Ryan Stonehouse, man.
I'll be honest, one of the Harrison Smith and him last year at Colorado State, that was just a punting battle all game. And that was, it was fun to be a part of it.
Stonehouse wasn't drafted.
He's
leading the NFL in net punt average right
Every single time he punts the ball on the maze. It's crazy.
He's crazy good, and I know he'd be a great guy to work with. And honestly, any of the punters in the NFL, they're all really good at what they do. So, but yeah, those are probably my two I'd pick.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
What's it like next step in college is NFL? I'm sure it's a little different from the long snappers. What's it like, the process of them seeing you and then getting onto the team?
Yeah, speaking from a little bit of lack of experience in that regard, but stories I've heard, and there are older guys that I've trained with these dudes before too, and basically, you go through college. The one thing, if you're talking specialist positions, the biggest jump is for snappers, because most guys in college have never really blocked, and so nowadays it's getting better. You see more snappers blocking, and it's great because that helps the transition. But it's a different jump, because you're going from college where you're more snap and run down field to NFL where you're snapping and blocking every single time.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing there. And you go through, I think it's we'll have other positions, pro days. There are kind of the, I guess, exposure camps you would call them, but kind of almost like NFL combines for specialists.
There you go.
Really?
Yeah.
I know, guys go to those all the time. The big name's Gary Zahner. He does that. And so you go to those, perform, try to get in front of these scouts and special teams coaches. And then after that, you got basically 3 different scenarios you could be in. Is one, you could be drafted.
How often is a long snapper drafted?
Not often. Last year nobody got drafted, but the year before 2 guys got drafted.
Really?
And then I think there's been at least 1 guy drafted, I think since 2013 or something like that. But you're talking 1 guy a year max. It was rare that they had 2 that one year, but it was great for the brand.
Yeah, there we go.
I love to see it.
Oh.
And then most of the guys are, I wouldn't say most, but I mean, you're undrafted free agent contract. And then, then after that, it's mini camps. And that's where a lot of guys that, are, you talk about seizing your opportunity. It's one mini camp, one weekend. You're trying to get a free agent contract essentially.
Yeah.
And, there's guys, I know the TCU snapper last season in 2021, Antonio Ortiz, he got a mini camp with the Bears and signed with them. And, that was, great for him. And, he's a really good snapper. But, yeah, those are kind of the 3 ways it goes. And then after that, there are guys, and you talk about, like, kicker, punter, and snapper. There's 32 dudes that do it. There's no backups.
Mm-hmm.
There's practice squad guys, but, there's 32 dudes that do this in the world. Like, there's like, that's a small number of guys compared to the number of guys that want your job. Yeah. And, they're all great. And, at that point, you're like, you can't even split hairs because they're all so good.
Yeah.
And then after that, you have dudes that are just still trying to break in. And there are guys, I believe a dude got signed by the Broncos that it took him like 5 years. And Matt Overton, I trained with him. It took him 6 seasons to get into the NFL. And, that takes some perseverance.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of people out there that would be like, man, if it took more than 2 years, I'm hanging it up. And, there's just a lot of snappers that are in it's called the workout circuit, but you're essentially, I think it's weekly or bi-weekly. You're going, certain teams, hey, I want a snapper to work out or something. And, obviously have agents and all that, but, it's a tight-knit community because we all know each other, or they all know each other, but, it's a fun community to be around because, everybody loves each other. That's essentially, that's the fun part.
It's the specialist family.
Yeah.
Well, superlatives. Okay, so after we talk about the serious stuff.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those videos of like the Vikings where they go around and like ask people in their locker room questions?
Yeah.
You're trying to do that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So like, who would you say is like the best dancer on the football team?
Wow. Maxwell Worship.
We've actually gotten that answer a lot.
Now, I'm not big on TikTok, but I'm pretty sure he's got a good following. And I've seen some TikToks, and I'm like, man, there's some good dance moves, dude. Like, that's legit. And he'll break out dance moves. And obviously after wins, you got guys going crazy, but he's the best dancer.
Okay. So what about like best dressed?
Best dressed. That's wow. You got about 10 guys that could hit that.
And this is this season. I'm sorry. Because I was gonna say because last year we got a lot of Chris Pierce Jr.
That's
That's
a fact.
Yeah.
Last year, that's a fact. I'd say Anthony Orgy. His is more of like his style's different. He'll pull up in some stuff that you're like, man, like I wouldn't have never thought anybody would wear that. But he pulls it off. So he's got great style. Ken Seals is always dressed well. And then I'd say some of the specialists. Joe can dress up pretty well. But I'd say those 3.
I remember I was at the UT game last year, and Joe was warming up, and I like yelled, and I was like, Joe, and he looked at me, and he was just like, he was like, what? And I was just like, I like waved at him, and he was like, I was like, man, I feel awkward now.
Yeah, that's Joe. He's got a nice personality.
Yeah.
So.
He was like, what do you want, random fan? Like if I was like gonna ask him a question, I was just like, do great out there, man. Like like,
what's up, bro?
Yeah. It's funny, man.
Are you gonna ask him something?
I was just trying to say hi.
Every time I go to games, I yell at the players and try to ask them something.
He asks everybody what's their favorite pasta.
I've gotten some answers too. Like they responded. Yeah. Sam Hartman said penne pasta when we played Wake Forest, and then the only other game I've been to this year was the other day, and Chase said
Chase McGrath.
Chase McGrath. I asked him for 3 quarters, and like I knew he heard me because he like looked like a little bit, and then just keep moving. and like shake his head a little. I asked for 3/4 over and over and over again every time he was over here, and then he finally turns and he says, chicken Alfredo. I'm like, okay, it's not a pasta shape, but it's a dish, so like I'll accept it.
That's
pretty
fair.
solid
Fair.
answer. You know what I mean?
It's tweeted from the Show 'em the Door account. Follow us on Twitter at Show 'em the Door.
Absolutely great content.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly.
What we've tried to do is to increase our Twitter interaction. We've just been inflammatory on SEC teams' posts.
Oh boy.
Like, I think Willem after the Egg Bowl tweeted like the Egg Bowl is like the stupidest bowl name in sports.
It's like the Egg Bowl.
And
What?
so people were going crazy. We got
I got so much hate.
we got
for the
hate
Egg
for
Bowl comment.
we got so much
I
hate for,
disrespect the Egg Bowl,
Hey.
and people are after me.
SEC fans are a different breed, man.
well, we
I'll
got
tell
hate
you
from like
that.
Tennessee fans on the Egg Bowl post. That's where this is literally you.
Oh, that guy is a
Yeah.
Tennessee fan?
That guy, we got like hate. Somebody said like "Show 'em the Door" is a stupid name, like Vandy Boys is a stupid name, and I screenshotted dude's like profile picture. And I said, "This is literally you," and he's like sitting there with like a deer like this.
Oh boy.
It was really funny.
Yeah.
Chris is the one that flames people on Twitter.
That's true.
Yeah. I will say as a player, yeah, you hear like people like you talking to you, and you just never know if it's like a negative because they're, hey, 47 or something, and you're like, I'm not turning around.
You're like, I don't know what they're
No
gonna say,
way.
man.
I don't know what you're about to say, or they'll just say it anyways. And there's some funny ones, but then you're like, boy, that was malicious. You didn't have to
Yeah.
say that, man. Like, come on, man. What did I do?
I'm not here snapping the ball, bro. Like,
Yeah, come on.
No, like a lot
my job.
of people view like college athletes like commodities almost, and I feel like it's like really damaging. Like people like will genuinely like threaten like
Oh,
people.
we've had it was Colorado State would look up on guys' Instagrams, and if they had a girlfriend, that's what was talked about for the next 4 quarters. Or if they even one of our guys had a dog, and they talked about the dog. I was like, come on, man, a dog?
The dog's unguardable.
At a baseball game, the people in front of us one time looked up the center fielder's mom and yelled about his mother.
Which
at
is
a baseball game. It's
not
hilarious
good.
in the moment, but like, come on. No.
Yeah, I was
What
like,
are we
oh
doing?
my God.
I, at the beginning of the season, decided just to heckle at every single game. But, like, I don't have it in me to, like, say anything, like, real
Too
to them,
negative.
you know what I mean? So I'm just up there, like,
the only time
pasta. Like, I don't know what else to talk about. I tell their shoes untied. Okay, I haven't told you about this. I yell at somebody. I don't even remember who it was at the Tennessee game. I think it was number 3. I don't know. But I'm like, your shoe's untied. I'm yelling over and over again. And then, like, he gets down at the end of the play. He's over in the end zone. And his shoe was untied. So he goes down and ties it. And he's walking back, and I'm yelling at him the whole time. And he's like, he shrugs at me. I couldn't believe it. His shoe was actually untied. I was messing with him the whole time.
Wow.
It was
That's
incredible.
crazy.
number 3 for Tennessee.
Number 3 for Tennessee. He was just in on the returns.
Oh, okay. I'm like, I don't know who that. I don't
His
know who
first
that is.
name's D, maybe?
Oh, D.
He
Williams.
returned that for a touchdown.
D. Williams. Yeah, I forgot about him. Man, he came like mid-season because he had like he was like I don't know. He transferred from like Oklahoma or something.
Okay.
Squirrel White was in the game a lot.
Squirrel White was in the game. He's a dog. He runs so fast. Anyway,
Yeah, but heckling is one heck of a
have
thing.
you ever watched the Bussin' with the Boys podcast?
A couple times.
They had Jalen Ramsey on one time, and he said that before his games in college, he would look
Oh,
up,
yeah, I've seen that clip.
where he-
Yeah.
yeah, that's something else.
Jalen Ramsey's different, man.
Could you
Hey,
imagine?
there have been some things that I will never repeat that have
Yeah.
been said to me in games, and so
We're gonna bleep this out on
Yeah.
the show.
I will not be repeating it. But yeah,
they
it's
said.
just, I will say that the best fan ones are when they're not cuss words and they're more kind of just like funny jokes.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can laugh. Like that's a
Yeah.
funny one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. You get playing all these SEC stadiums, man. I mean, man, they're just
passionate people.
fun.
Passionate people.
They're
SEC
fun
fans are
atmospheres.
Yeah. If there's one thing SEC fans can do, it's sports.
Speaking of the SEC, where's your favorite stadium to play?
The Swamp or Bama.
Yeah.
Just the Swamp's different. You walk in, it's straight up. The students behind you are, I mean, this is like out of bounds where this couch is. That wall over there is right where the students are. So
Wow.
that's the sideline.
That's
That's
tough.
no space.
Yeah.
And so, that was a fun experience. And we played them in 2021. It was their homecoming game. So, like, it was, filled up pretty good. And, that it's just straight up. Like, I kid you not, I'd look up at the scoreboard and I'm like, wow, I'm getting sick looking at this. Yeah. And, it was a fun spot to play, just loud environment. Pre-game, right before kickoff, they, some crowd noise type hype up situation. And you couldn't hear anybody on the sideline. Like, if it was like me to you, I couldn't hear you. Yeah. And it was crazy. And then Bama was cool. Theirs was a little different because their sidelines were big. And so, like, you had the fans there and, like, obviously loud and stuff, very loud environment. But their light show was very, very cool. To just in between TV timeouts, they did, all the strobe lights, all that, all the LEDs. And I'm like, wow. And I snap just to keep myself warm during TV timeouts. And there was one time I'm trying to, like, focus on hay ball. And I'm like, man, dude, it's like strobe lights. What's going on now? These are impressive, but both of those places were the best by far.
So what are your least favorite places to play?
Nowhere in the SEC. They're all SEC spots are always fun to play at. I'd say NIU this year. The fans were into it. Yeah, the fans were into it. Their student section was. They said a lot of things, but
really,
yeah,
Northern Illinois people.
They were into it. And their just stadium was weird. It was very windy too, which, I mean, I'm not a fan of the wind either. Yeah. So, like, I want our punters and kickers to have the best environment to play in, and that's just the wind. That's there was it was kind of straight up on both sides, and then you just had like a wind tunnel just right on the field, and so it was interesting spot to play. But then the away locker room, smallest I've ever been in. I mean, it was small. It was small.
Classic Illinois.
Maction. Okay, so when we first learned about this, whenever we interviewed Cam, but he talked about what the wide receivers would do when you guys ate before the games. And they would
What they do?
They apparently you guys have like an ice cream bar.
We have that the night before, like the dinner the night before the game. We have an ice cream bar, yeah.
Okay. And he talks about, he didn't tell us that. He made it seem like it was the before the game.
That's why everyone reacts so weirdly
to it. Because he was talking about we were like, what do you eat before the game? And this is where he talked about it. But he talked about how the receivers would almost compete on who could get the best ice cream going on. And I was like, maybe it helps being twitchy on the field, but I can't imagine eating ice cream before a football game.
My pregame meal is very light. I think we have some steak. I'll have one little, I mean, they're smaller pieces, probably this big, but a little piece of steak. I'll have some pasta, and then some bread. I always have chicken noodle soup. That's my go-to. That and get some carbs in me for a game. So that's my pregame meal. But yeah,
the night before.
The night before,
ice cream.
Absolutely. I save up. Okay. By the way, and I tell people this all the time. So the whole entire football team knows this, and I think guys on the team do it too. I will save up for that ice cream at night because I'm like, it is so good. Okay. I'm like, man,
what do you get?
I'm good. I'll typically get 2 vanilla scoops and a chocolate scoop.
Okay.
And these are smaller scoops, probably that big. But then Then throw some M&Ms on it, and then they have the whipped cream, and then they have a little bit of chocolate syrup on it, and then they'll typically have I'll have a cookie with it, a little small cookie, and man, I mean it's simple, but it's great. It's great.
You gotta get in there sometime.
I'm just gonna, I'm gonna be like, oh, I got the backpack. I stole somebody's backpack.
Call in a favor. Somebody gives it in. That's funny.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal. Yeah. Floor neck.
Who told you about that one?
That was
Julian. Oh, that was Julian.
Yeah, that's one of.
Talk about floor neck real quick.
Okay, yeah, that's it's a great exercise. I actually would recommend any high school kid to do it, because basically when I was in high school, I did neck exercises, but it was more like leaning up against a wall, like having it push on your head and stuff. And, you know, that was good, but floor neck on your back, you do, I think, this first, then shaking your head no, and then what else is, ear to shoulder, and then you do protrusions, which is just like basically sticking your neck out. It's like turns into a core exercise at some point. And but yeah, you know, we do that. I think it's 30 seconds each way.
Here at Schelling, we condone floor neck.
I love floor neck. It gets my neck in great shape, and you need it when you take some of the hits that you know, our guys
Julian
take.
said it, like referenced it, and then didn't tell us about it. He's like,
Yeah.
you got next person you have to ask him about this. Then we asked Ben, and Ben gave us the whole thing, the whole rundown of what it is. Like
Because we were
coach
talking.
yells like something.
Yeah, he's like, get on the. It's like, I can't do it, but it's like, get on the ground, feet east, and we have like it's pretty funny. We know in the weight room where's west, east, north, south, and you know, feet east. You know, get ready for floor neck. And, you know, it's just like, it's always at the beginning of the workout, too.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, oh, here we go. Let's
There
go.
we go, baby.
That's
We'll
what
do floor neck, and then we'll go from there.
Because we were talking about, like, man, having a helmet on must be, like,
It's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's heavy. I don't know how much those things weigh, but they're heavy. The shoulder pads are heavy. Then the hits you take are
Heavier, yeah.
hurt. You'll, you talk. I've woken up multiple times after games with just like whiplash, essentially, and I'm like, it's gonna hurt for the next day. I'll be fine tomorrow, but
You're like, right now,
I don't feel
great.
good. Yeah. So, yeah, it's funny. You hear it on TV broadcasts. Oh, he'll feel that the next morning.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
For sure.
Like, you're correct. So, but
Well, do we have any more superlatives?
I think that's all the basic ones we got.
Yeah.
nice.
Well, we really appreciate you being on.
Thank you for having me.
And we would love it if you would sign the Show 'em the Door Vanderbilt jersey.
Absolutely. You want me to sign it?
Here, yeah, we got it on the back here, wherever you want for right here. We also, when we got to pose for the thumbnail, so like act all crazy, like well, after you take the picture for the Instagram.
Boy, some hard.
That's a good one.
All right, come on. Now we have. All right, I can clip that.
There we go.
We got to clickbait our things.
There we go.
Absolutely.
On there.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yep,
So right
thank
here, now, you have a platform. You can say anything you want. What do the people need to know?
What do the people need to know? Well, come support your Vanderbilt Commodores next season. Pack the bank. That's all I know.
Pack the bank.
No, Door Report throws that out there all the time. But pack the bank, and hey, come to a spring game too. And then all my social medias, if you feel inclined at all to come, follow me for any reason.
All the links.
At Wesley Schelling, it's just my name. That's literally every single social media platform anywhere. So
It'll be in the description of this video too.
Yeah.
So
Be his 11th TikTok follower. Get there.
Yeah.
blow up his TikTok.
Not the biggest TikTok guy, but
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
But this has been Show 'em the Door. We'll see you guys hopefully soon, at absolute latest next week.
Yeah, we've only got a couple more weeks.
Yeah, in the season. But it's been a great season.
Squeeze
so
in
far.
as many guests as possible.
Yeah.
We're like, you have finals? Too bad. Get
Yeah,
down
get
here.
on the podcast.
That's it.
But yeah, so we'll see you guys later. All right. Bye.